Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 447 based on novel. So let's start. The entire altar of the elf was a little quiet. Obviously, no one thought that the terrifying Princess Alice would be defeated by Xiao Yan, and no one knew the secret of the last conversation between the two. Even so, the huge movement created by Xiao Yan, an outsider, still made these elves with a proud aura in their hearts extremely unbelievable. Wonderful. Immediately, in the center of the altar, a series of applause broke out, breaking the peace. Princess Qianqin in the distance stood up abruptly, slender hands flapped, and an elegant and noble smile hung on the corner of her mouth. Princess, it seems that this time, we will win. The two female bodyguards beside Qianqin saw that Alice was completely defeated, and their voices became sneering. Without the existence of Princess Alice, the great enemy, Princess Qianqin's victory is like something in the bag. Although I don't know why Alice lost to Xiao Yang also helped them invisibly and solved the problem for them. A huge problem. You, a human being, is the first time in nearly 100 years that I have such a strong interest in me. Princess Qianqin nodded her head beautifully, and in a blink of an eye, she turned her attention to Xiao Yang. Although this guy doesn't seem to be too dazzling, but once the battle breaks out, even she is a little bit of a formidable attack. Palpitations. Sheng Yang, a battle formation master, the two identities alone are enough to make Xiao Yang famous. The power of the holy flame naturally does not need to be repeated too much. The power of the formation pattern of the battle formation master, 10,000 paths corresponds to a star Dozian, and 100,000 paths corresponds to a reincarnation level. It is just 1,000,000 paths that are comparable to gods in legends. Formation pattern, no one in the records of the Great Thousand World can achieve it. It's just a fluke. Xiao Yang smiled slightly, and at the same time stood in the barrier of the altar, looking down at Princess Qianqin. According to Xiao Yi's description, this Princess Qianqin is too low-key on weekdays, and there is no big or small wind and waves to pass on. And with the power of his soul that is so arrogant now, he can't detect the slightest aura inside it. Great enemy. This Princess Qianqin is definitely a great enemy. Her strength is not inferior to Alice, even more dangerous than Alice. If you two tribes are ready, let's start. After all, time is running out. Second Elder Ma Lin got up and glanced lightly under the statue of Yarou Ji in the center of the altar. It seemed that some hidden dark energy was spreading. The dark energy was extremely weak, but the power contained in it made one's heart palpitate. You holy flame, quite good. Princess Qianqin walked out with graceful lotus steps, stepped out of the void and appeared in the barrier of the altar. There was an indescribably elegant aura lingering around her body. Let's start. Xiao Yang shook his head indifferently. Don't worry. Regarding Xiao Yang's move, Princess Qianqin actually nodded slowly, a playful look flashing in her beautiful eyes. You are the only one left in your southern tribe. Do you think you can compete with the 3 reincarnations in our eastern village with your own strength? Princess Qianqin joked. She doesn't seem to be in any hurry for the next competition. Hearing this, Xiao Yang's eyes flickered, and there was a cold glow in the corner of his eyes. What Qianqin said was not wrong. If the last 2 reincarnation rank and the first reincarnation rank use will battles to consume their own vindictive energy, this decisive battle would be a bit shaky. I know your full strength is more than that, and I also really want to see the peak of those powers in your body. So, use all your strength to fight me. The 2 contenders in my eastern tribe will automatically abstain, so your enemy is only me. If you can defeat me, our 3 tribes are willing to bow their heads and call you the strongest. Princess Qianqin's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and the delicate body standing in the enchantment stepped out one step, and her voice resounded through the sky like the sound of heaven. It was filled with an unprecedented terrifying coercion, emanating from that petite and weak body. In sharp contrast, Princess. Hearing what the princess said, the 2 reincarnation-level maids who supported the princess couldn't help roaring in a hurry. To shut up. Princess Qianqin seemed determined to do this, and waved her hands at will. The Xion's coercion made the 2 dare not show any resistance. Xiao Yang took a deep breath, the breath all over his body was natural, and the amber flames lingered around his body to form a beautiful and splendid figure armor. It turned out that Princess Qianqin's coercion had no effect, because Xiao Yang's chest was filled with flames. The small cauldron was looming, and under the blessing of this thing, Xiao Yang's principal armor appeared extremely gorgeous, and the ancient and mysterious fluctuations were slowly released. Okay, bring it on. There was a faint smile hanging on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth, His whole body was incomparably tyrannical, and his eyes were fixed on Princess Qianqin. Since that's the case, let's start the last battle. Second Elder Ma Lin nodded with satisfaction. After announcing the start of the competition, his eyes were also fixed on the two in the enchantment. Although I don't like killing when I fight with people, if you hide it, I'm afraid you will only sacrifice your life in vain. Princess Qianqin's figure stretched out, accompanied by an understated voice. The energy in the entire barrier actually boiled up, suppressing the countless energies in this barrier to the extreme. Stop talking nonsense. The matter of the fire elves will end completely today. Saint Flame Kai. On top of Xiao Yang's body, an amber armor appeared, and his entire body was fully armed. Above the armor, 5 colored energy flames slowly swam. The energy nature in the energy flame is noisy, as heavy as a rock and like some terrible flames that restrain the soul, etc. This holy flame is really weird, but just relying on it is not enough. The skill of fire, the dark brown spirit palm. As Princess Qianqin's sweet voice fell, her icy and jade-bright wrist was raised and floated over the corner of her lips. She opened her pink lips and blew lightly. A touch of silver energy swept out like a thunder and rage, and contained a terrifying power. The pressure actually made the whole world buzz. The palm of his hand pointed out towards Xiao Yang's place, and the terrifying and surging energy swept away. However, just when everyone thought that Xiao Yang would make a fool of himself, a majestic figure lingered behind Xiao Yang. His body trembled, and with the terrifying power above Saint Yang Kai, under the watchful eyes of countless people, Princess Qianqin's silver thunder palm print shattered abruptly. That's how fun. Seeing Xiao Yang taking her own attack so easily, Princess Qianqin did not feel any displeasure. The pink bracelet on her wrist was faintly bursting with terrifying power, the cyan dress swayed with the wind, but the jade behind her back chin did not move. But the more you put it down like this, the hearts of everyone can't help but go to their throats, because they know it. At this moment, the storm is about to come, as expected of the guy who can defeat Sister Alice. Seeing Xiao Yang's actions, Princess Qianqin raised her palm to cover her red lips, and let out a creaking smile. What a weird guy. As soon as the attack fell, Xiao Yang felt that her attack was not here. It seemed that the attack just now did not use too much power, it was just a test, so Xiao Yang easily followed. What makes Xiao Yang extremely puzzled is that when facing this princess head-on now, the intact body and power of the tyrant hidden in his body are not under his control, and there are faint signs of rampage. The source is most likely the Princess Qianqin in front of her. It seems that there is something in this princess's body that makes the power of the tyrant exude an extremely hot restlessness. Go ahead, use all your strength, I hope you can let me use that power. The voice fell, Princess Qianqin sat gracefully cross-legged, a jade platform quietly appeared on top of her body. The jade platform was completely white, and the sun and the moon rose around her body. At the same time, a palm surged above Princess Qianqin's body to remove the jade piano behind her and smiled at Xiao Yang. The guqin has a beautiful shape and is engraved on it by countless birds and beasts. It looks extremely elegant, but anyone can smell the terrible power contained in it. Young Master Xiao Yang, please enlighten me. Regardless of the many surprises in Xiao Yang's body, Qianqin placed the guqin flat on the jade platform in front of her, and her whole body crawls down. Open, it really pushes its breath to the peak. The melody's silver brilliance actually caused a long-lost silence in everyone's body. Humph. Seeing this, Xiao Yang snorted coldly, and the 5-color flames began to flow irregularly. In addition to the blessings of Saint Yang Kai and the Demon Emperor's celestial appearance behind him, its power was also terrifyingly tyrannical. Xiao Yang also held his breath, and then blew it out. The majestic 5-color flames instantly formed a monstrous fire curtain in this enchantment. The 5-color energies above the fire curtain have different properties, and the terrifying high temperature contained in them is completely different. The nature of power actually made this enchantment become illusory. This method is a symbol of Fenju's first realm after the operation. Today's Xiao Yang, the power to control Shenyang, is countless times more tyrannical than before. The holy flame screen is like a vast universe with thousands of feet, and it fills this void when it is freely displayed. If this technique is not under the control of Fenju's first realm, with Xiao Yang's strength, I am afraid it will not be possible. Boom! The hot flame energy raged out, and Xiao Yang's body was drowned in the fire curtain like a ghost. In the fire curtain, 5 completely different flame properties began to expand violently. Without Xiao Yang's maintenance, one after another violent voice like thunder blasting in this world, the flame energy that it carries is enough to tear everything, and it bursts out. Oh, is the sound hitting the west? But this kind of flame seems a little abnormal. Feeling that the entire barrier was completely enveloped by Xiao Yang's 5-color fire curtain, Princess Qianqin smiled slightly, and the palm alone that touched the guqin began to shake, and the natural Qiong finger on the palm lifted and landed precisely on the guqin Qinxian. Everyone saw that in the fire curtain full of violent violence, Princess Qianqin was covered with a soft halo. She caressed the body of the piano with one hand, and sat quietly on the jade platform. There are quite rhythmic fluctuations on the top, and it seems that every drop of the finger will bring up the extremely majestic energy of heaven and earth. The sound of the piano is euphemistic and beautiful, and it sounds extremely reassuring, but everyone knows that the scalp-numbing terrifying power brewing in the sound of the piano. I am afraid that under a single blow, the reincarnation-level powerhouse can only be dimmed. No light. Boom. Xiao Yang instantly appeared in the sky above Princess Qianqin, and a thunderous flame explosion sounded. Immediately, without waiting for the latter to react, a fist wrapped in 5-colored flames blasted away at Princess Qianqin, who was close at hand. The power actually shook the air in a radius of 1,000 meters. Ishin. Palace. Facing such a terrifying blow from Xiao Yang, Princess Qianqin's elegant index finger quickly undulated the guqin, and a silver shock wave came out suddenly. Qianqin waved her sleeves, and suddenly a soft force drove that rhythm shock wave. Under the watchful eyes of countless people, it directly slammed into Xiao Yang's punch. Boom. The moment the silver melody shockwave and Xiao Yang's terrifying punch attacked, the energy resounding through the heavens and the earth suddenly spread out from the sky like ripples. In the enchantment, Xiao Yang's figure continued to wreak havoc on the sky. With the blessing of the 5-color fire curtain, his entire body stood like a Buddha statue. The loud sound of mountains colliding continued to sound, and a terrifying energy storm rang out. It continued to overflow, and just after the overflow, the qi and blood in these powerhouses began to churn. Xian, Shong, Sanxian, Jiao. Princess Qianqin's mastery of rhythm is the first person Xiao Yang has ever seen in his life. Every attack is just right, and the attack intensity is extremely terrifying, without wasting any excess energy. This kind of grasp of battle is better than Alice's. Really too arrogant. Immortal golden body. Several rhythm shockwaves scanned the past like a death-cutting machine, and the void collapsed slightly wherever it went. The second attack fell, and the incomparably violent energy fluctuations raged out. The golden giant body transformed by Xiao Yang trembled suddenly, and quickly took a few steps back, and even the void around him became illusory. In the successive attacks, he never obtained any benefit, which made Xiao Yang's face flash with a hint of doubt, and his eyes kept looking at Princess Qianqin in the distance. Princess Qianqin's strength is not bad, and her control of power is too precise. The power of reincarnation in her body and the power above the guqin evaporate together, making Xiao Yang feel powerless. It seems that if you want to win, you can only work strength. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, on the bronze-colored skin all over his body, traces of strange thunder like dead gray appeared quietly, and endless thunder appeared in his eyes. Under the appearance of this power, the whole world became much quieter. Thunder. Seeing the scene that suddenly appeared on Xiao Yang's body, countless people's minds were filled with too many questions. Different from the consternation of many powerhouses, Princess Qianqin has always kept a faint smile on her face, but she is suspended on the jade platform in the air, and the silver radiance above the guqin in her arms is extremely bright. At the same time, the the slender jade hands, which had no flaws, landed on the guqin at the same time, and among the random fluctuations, there was actually a rare sound of wind and beast roar, with an extremely loud sound, resounding in this world. Out. Qiang qiang. The sound of Qingyan suddenly resounded from Princess Qianqin's body, and the restless energy in the entire barrier suddenly became quiet. Even in this void covered by Xiao Yang's endless fire curtain, all the fire the curtain breath turned out to be slowly dissipating. In the rhythm, a melodious phoenix chanting sounded, and the monstrous brown flames swept out from the illusory phoenix body like a volcano. At the same time, the guqin in Princess Qianqin's arms also emitted a very pleasant buzzing. Song. The phoenix shadow lingering in brown flames fluttered her wings at the moment when the guqin was fluctuating, and was entrenched on the top of Princess Qianqin's head. That kind of terrifying aura was really terrifying. Is this guqin also a tyrannical witchcraft? But the fire of holy flame is not something that mere witchcraft can handle. Xiao Yang's eyes rolled, without any fear. There was even a rare madness in the corner of his eyes. 4 strings, emblem. Seeing Xiao Yang's calm situation, Princess Qianqin's jade finger suddenly slid over the strings, bringing a strong wind. Whoa! The sound of the 4 strings fell, and a touch of silver energy was injected into the phoenix shadow of the rhythm under the watchful eyes of everyone. The brown phoenix shadow hovering in the sky suddenly screamed up to the sky, the energy body of nearly 100 feet materialized, and the brown wings behind him stretched violently. Countless brown flames swept out with bursts of crisp rhythm. Thunder, silence. Xiao Yang's whole body was surrounded by grey thunder, and he immediately glared at the phoenix who was sitting above Princess Qianqin's head. A rare thunder halo rapidly gathered in the center of his palm, like a black hole absorbing countless energies of heaven and earth, as well as the energy inside Xiao Yang's body. Do Qi, a tyrannical breath that makes the scalp numb, quickly condenses. Wu Xian, you, kill. Finally, Princess Qianqin looked at the extremely strange grey thunderbolt on Xiao Yang's body, and noticed a trace of anomaly. She nodded her head beautifully, and murderous intent swept out. As the phoenix shadow above her head roared, the power of lightness actually matched that of Guqin. The rhythms above merged, and the monstrous brown flames swept out like a falling galaxy. The phoenix phantom crawls down, countless silver rhythms and loud cries descend from the sky. The first transformation of the dragon god transformation. Seeing such a ferocious attack from the latter, Xiao Yang could only resist head-on. His voice fell, his whole body was churning with qi and blood, the veins on his arms burst out, and even a trace of cyan energy was covered, making Xiao Yang's skin full of energy. A blue cloudy air. In the turbid blue air, there seems to be some kind of ancient power spreading out. Creak. Thunder. After doing all this, Xiao Yang said with a sneer, his palm lifted immediately, and the grey thunder surging, like a demon that corrupts all things and robs life, that kind of thunder power shook this embarrassed space. 6 strings, soul burial song. Enjoy your exclusive funeral. Watching Xiao Yang's bizarre scene, Princess Qianqin's voice fell leisurely, her fingers slid over the strings of the guqin, countless sweet and crisp sounds accompanied by the phoenix phantom with violent sound waves. Like a meteorite from the stars, the sky fell into the mortal world and slammed into Xiao Yang viciously. The moment the violent piano sound swept in, it turned out that Xiao Yang had a rare heart palpitation. Humph. However, Xiao Yang was not very human either. His toes were a little above the void, and he shot out with that terrifying thrust, producing countless piercing sounds along the way. Whoa! The seemingly terrifying violent sound wave and the phantom of the phoenix spread out in the enchantment at almost the same time, and no matter how tyrannical the two were, when they came into contact with the Saint Yang Kai and the grey thunderbolt on Xiao Yang, there was no the conscripts drown. It was like a moth flying into a fire, unable to cause any substantial damage to Xiao Yang at all. Look at me. Xiao Yang's eyes were cold, and he instantly appeared beside Princess Qianqin. On his palm, a thunderous heart made of countless grey thunderbolts beat violently. Immediately, without any hesitation, he slapped Princess Qianqin with his palm. A palm was pushed out, the air was slightly condensed, and an energy wrapped in 5-color flames roared away at Princess Qianqin. In the center of the 5-color energy, there was a small grey light spot. It really does have some strength. Seeing that Xiao Yang's grasp of the battle was so delicate, Princess Qianqin couldn't help shaking her head. When Xiao Yang attacked, a rare worry flashed in Princess Qianqin's beautiful eyes. She obviously sensed the ferocity of the 5-color flame energy and the terrifying destructive power of the thunder heart. 7 strings, requiem, funeral for all of you. The high-pitched voice resounded, and Qianqin's hands quickly waved the strings of the guqin, and bursts of terrifying sound waves sounded like the sounds of heaven in the sky. At this time, on the guqin, the whole body of silver halo shone, dazzling like a piercing scorching sun, not only forming a silver light shield around its body, but even countless irregular notes, slanting out, among them the terrifying sound wave fluctuations contained in it are chilly. Sound wave, soul attack. But this kind of soul attack is still a little weaker than me. Yu Mingtian is stunned. The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth was filled with madness, the spiritual palace in his body was surging, and countless soul powers spewed out like a fountain. The extremely strange chirping sound shook everyone's heartstrings. Boom. The two attacked and contacted, and the violent energy raged in the sky, followed by cracks, but neither of them felt good. Princess Qianqin's strength is tyrannical, but under the combined pressure of Xiao Yang Shenyang Kai, and Grey Thunder, her absolute strength is no longer a big threat. It's not enough. There was very obvious blood on the corner of his mouth, but Xiao Yang roared back. Requiem. Feeling the resistance of Xiao Yang's so many strengths, Princess Qianqin's body rolled with the power of reincarnation, and countless musical notes condensed into a silver arc in the void, slamming away at Xiao Yang's vital point with a thud. Lightning ball. Give me silence. The sound fell, and the 5 colored flames that whistled out instantly annihilated. One of them, a thunderball like the heart of a thunderbolt, flashed with a terrifying power that made the soul tremble, rising from the ground. Bang bang bang! The incomparably violent aura of the lightning ball and the countless sonic contacts made by Princess Qianqin's guqin, the humming sound of the air in the enchantment suddenly spread from the center of the battle, and some energy aftermath emerged from the center. Some of the small valleys on the upper, annihilated in an instant. At this time, in the sacred altar barrier, the ground shook and the mountains were shaking, and the two forces clashed fiercely. Until this moment, none of the elven powerhouses present dared to underestimate Xiao Yan. It seems that this human being's strength and combat are a bit tyrannical and outrageous. This Princess Qianqin seems to be a little weird. At the center of the battle in the enchantment surrounded by black smoke, Xiao Yang's body quickly retreated. Even with the protection of many powers, the slight scratches on his body at this time were extremely dazzling. Xiao Yang immediately wiped away the traces of blood from the corners of his mouth, and there was a hint of hesitation in his eyes. According to the traces of the fight between the two just now, Princess Qianqin and herself have a vague feeling that they are evenly matched. Even when he performed an earth-shattering blow with the amber rock soul fire and the lightning element magic lightning ball, he still hadn't shaken it in the slightest. The aftermath of the energy in the enchantment is still raging, but in the black smoke that has been in the high place for a long time, as time goes by, two figures emerge one after another. Xiao Yang and Princess Qianqin. At this time, the exquisite jade platform under Princess Qianqin's body shattered, and a trace of grey thunder filled in front of them, making a pair of jade hands around the guqin and standing in front of them to resist. It's just that on the guqin, 4 of the 7 strings have been broken, and Princess Qianqin's look and breath are not very good looking. On the other hand, Xiao Yang, the large and small scars on his body, and even the slightest trace of blood on the corner of his mouth, was even more miserable than Princess Qianqin. However, in a seemingly terrifying confrontation, Xiao Yang was able to achieve this step, which is awe-inspiring. No way. The power of the 7-stringed guqin is enough to stifle the true first-level reincarnation powerhouse. Princess Qianqin has just released the 7-stringed guqin, and this human being has only suffered a slight wound. Looking at this scene in the field, an incomparable shock hit their hearts. I didn't expect you to be proficient in soul power. It's a mistake. Otherwise, without the interference of the soul power just now, you should have been completely destroyed by my song. Qianqin swung her hand, took back the guqin, and a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Only at this moment did she see Xiao Yang as her real opponent. Yes. Xiao Yang's eyes turned cold, and he stared at Princess Qianqin coldly. At this time, the latter's calm cheeks seemed to be gentle, but Xiao Yang's keen perception knew that there seemed to be a very special touch in her body. Weird power is rising steadily, waking up. In that kind of power, the extremely perfect power of dominance hidden in Xiao Yang's body trembled violently, and there were faint signs of uncontrollable traces erupting and spreading out. The reason why samsara is called samsara is because it controls the power of samsara. The power of samsara is mysterious. For your strength, it will destroy you. Of course you are a rare genius, but unfortunately, a genius with broken wings is not a genius. Qianqin's voice sounded, but the power around her body became illusory, and even the clouds at the top of the barrier began to shake violently, as if some terrifying creature was about to emerge. Xiao Yang, admit defeat, or take my strongest blow. Princess Qianqin sneered. Everything was waiting for Xiao Yang's answer. Whether it is life or death, in one thought. Why don't you dare? So much nonsense, let's go. Xiao Yang's eyes flickered with ferocity, and as a flash of light disappeared, countless energies raged out, and it was obviously an opportunity for the final blow. The masters have played tricks, and the point is so far, but for the two masters with extraordinary strength and arrogance, it is natural to use the strongest blow to establish their inviolable strength. Whoa! The vast cyan light filaments slanted out from Xiao Yang's body, and at the same time, the same terrifying power appeared on Princess Qianqin in the distance. The power of the Dragon King? Countless people looked at the bodies of the two men above the sky covered with cyan and silver filaments, not knowing who the elves at the center of the altar spoke first. How could Princess Qianqin possess the power of the Dragon King of the Dragon Clan? Countless people held their breath, not wanting to miss such a wonderful confrontation. It is said that Qianqin once left the Sea of the Sky when she was a child, and was sent back by a certain Almighty. I am afraid it has something to do with this. Alice thought about it, but only had this idea. It turns out that this Qianqin has always had a low-key and soft appearance, and the power behind her is so embarrassing to herself, She is pretending to be crazy and selling stupid. I am afraid that the purpose is today. Dragon. Qianqin's elegant smile disappeared instantly, and the breath on her cheeks suddenly became heavy. Her beautiful eyes and the corners of her mouth were particularly cold. She snorted coldly, and an endless chill filled the air. The voice just fell, and a touch of silver power suddenly swept out of her body. At the same time, Princess Qianqin's seemingly weak body became crystal white with the blessing of countless silver power, and behind her, there was even more. A looming middle-aged woman stood up. The middle-aged woman looked beautiful, and her slender body was also covered by a silver robe, but on her skin and silver robe, a series of strange lines were also engraved on it along the spread of silver power. The power full of those weird lines can be learned from heaven and earth. Tear it off. When such an abnormality occurred in Princess Qianqin, the energy of the entire enchantment space boiled, and then a series of harsh space storms were born without any warning. It turns out that this palpitation is actually the power of the Dragon King. Xiao Yan looked at the terrifying figure of a woman behind Princess Qianqin who exuded a faint coercion, and finally knew what this guy was doing. Because that energy woman is also one of the 9 dragon kings of the dragon clan. The dragon ***** gave birth to 9 sons, and the 9 sons are different. Except for the gold and silver dragon king who retains the dragon's character and shape, the other 7 sons are all in different shapes. Obtaining a trace of his strength is enough to greatly increase his own strength. Show the power of the Dragon King in your body, otherwise you will be completely buried today. Princess Qianqin's body is constantly rising, slowly turning her head to look at Xiao Yang. The silver light is full of a tyrannical and terrifying tearing wind. I am afraid it is enough to tear any force easily. Whose power is this? One of the 7 Dragon Kings, but the power of domination. The majestic voice, the cyan water waves surged together, and the low and ancient Hongzhong sound suddenly sounded. Under these extremely cold voices, Xiao Yang's body also underwent a rare change. It's actually the power of the Dragon King tyrant. Qianqin's beautiful eyes are full of countless inconceivables. You must know that, in addition to the gold and silver Dragon Kings, among the remaining 7 Dragon Kings, the overall strength of the Baxia Dragon King is enough to rank second, and the Storm Dragon King is powerful and powerful. It should not be underestimated, but it is outside the 3rd place. Storm Dragon King Tamil? After Qianqin's voice fell, the hot storm around her seemed to be provoked, and they all sent dangerous signals to Xiao Yang. Storm Dragon King Tamil, among the 7 Dragon Kings, is not the best in strength, but the terrifying power of the storm torn apart is enough to give her this title. The final confrontation of this battle will be the battle of power left over by the 2 supreme powers, the Storm Dragon King and the Baxia Dragon King. With the appearance of the Tamil energy soul shadow of the Storm Dragon King on Princess Qianqin, and after Xiao Yang exerted the power of the Dragon King, the entire barrier was filled with the sound of dragon roar and roar. The dragon's roar was loud and bright, and the bright blue light lingered on Xiao Yang's body. The blue light directly penetrated the protection of Sheng Yang's Kai, penetrated and attached to the surface of Xiao Yang's body, and the blue light on the skin and hair was slowly outlined. The appearance of the thick dragon pattern like a tortoise shell under the tyrant, the terrifying aura of Xiao Yang was amplified and suffocated. As for Princess Qianqin, countless storms raged around her body, and the power contained in these storms was enough to tear the entire barrier apart. A moment later, the human body of the Storm Dragon King Tamil shattered, and suddenly turned into a sturdy silver flying dragon of dozens of meters, entrenched in countless storms, vaguely controlling all the storms and forming a deadly hurricane trace. Above the broad silver dragon wings, the cold light bursts, and the dragon wings stretch out like a sharp blade. Wherever the silver dragon wings touches in the enchantment, cracks appear one after another. Following that, there was a storm of destruction that made one feel the tingling pain on the skin and face. The power of the Storm Dragon King is truly extraordinary. On Xiao Yang's body, the cyan dragon scales slowly emerged, and under the scorching flames of the Saint Yang Kai, it appeared even more lush, but Xiao Yang could feel it. The heavy breath like a huge mountain of 10,000 meters rushed towards his face, and a tortoise shell was also carried out behind him. The scales of the Underlord are covered, the Saint Flame Kai clothing is blessing and burning, and there is the protection of the Underlord's body behind him. This feeling is as if his own attack is enough to shatter the world and destroy the terrifying power and real power. There is no difference between the dragons, and with the addition of treasures such as the lower body, the power of the Storm Dragon King, the Space Hurricane, Princess Qianqin's entire attention was on the blue dragon scales that suddenly exploded on Xiao Yang's body, and she ignored the strange tortoise shell behind Xiao Yang, and the voice sounded. The silver flying dragon waved its wings, and its entire body was instantly shattered, but the scattered silver energy united all the surrounding space storms. On the edge of the space hurricane formed by dozens of space storms, one after another extremely sharp blade is spinning rapidly. The speed is so fast that it makes everyone feel a sense of loss. Sharp blade, running at high speed. It's like a living meat grinder composed of countless high-speed rotating gears. If this falls into it, I'm afraid that even if you don't die, you will have to peel off the skin. Xiao Yan's scalp felt numb as he looked at the violent tearing force of the hurricane in the space in front of him. Tamil's use of the wind attribute had reached the limit. Although this was not the body of the Storm Dragon King, it was just a trace of her power, but it also made Xiao Yan's expression dignified. Dragon God Transformation, Fourth Transformation. Xiao Yan's voice fell, his entire body was bathed in azure light, and the azure dragon scales completely covered Xiao Yan's whole body, like a real dragon man. A human with dragon scales. It's a pretty good body forging technique. It seems that the power of the Dragon King is as tyrannical as the legends say, but unfortunately the Japanese princess will win today. Don't worry, I won't kill you, I will knock you out, and then. Chen Qin stood behind her, and the space hurricane killed Xiao Yang very spiritually. Everywhere along the way, violent sawtooth silver wheels shredded and roared, and the enchantment void exploded, and even the power of space became calmed down. The fifth change. Dragon Claw. The power of Holy Flame, the Dragon Claw. Just at this critical moment, the 5 colored flames on Xiao Yang's body were directly injected into the palm of his hand by Xiao Yang, and immediately the palm was bent, and he fiercely probed into the void in front of him. The silver space hurricane is like a sharp blade that cuts the enchantment flat, dividing the entire enchantment in two, but at this time, a cyan dragon claw with a size of dozens of feet, with an extremely strange appearance, is hard. The resistance is around the silver space hurricane. The 5 colored flames are endless. No matter how many times they are cut and torn apart by the space hurricane, they will emerge at the speed, born at the speed, and continuously attached to the cyan dragon claws. And above the cyan dragon claw, a terrifying wave that is enough to crush everything in the world is rippling at an amazing speed. Heavy, ancient, and before the battle, it makes people feel that the blue energy is full of indestructible mountains, rivers, and seas. Tear them apart for me. The silver space hurricane's offensive weakened, and even with the slightest shaking, Chen Qin finally couldn't sit still. Give me, smash it. Xiao Yang gritted his teeth, blood stained in the gaps between his teeth, and the terrifying space wind made Xiao Yang's mouth and eyes rapidly enlarge, and even above the blue dragon claws, the flesh and blood had already become blurred, only the remaining 5 bones and joints of the fingers looked extremely frightening. Xiao Yang used his life force to push them out. Boom. With one claw strike, the space hurricane gathered by the unique wind force in the storm space was forcibly pulled out by Xiao Yang, and the latter was like a deflated sphere. The hurricane weakened, and the power in the entire space became weaker. Princess Chen Qin, it's over. Clap. The voice emerged, and the emptiness around Princess Chen Qin's body suddenly solidified, and 5 cyan light beams shrouded her body, imprisoning her body. Xiao Yang. Looking at this scene, the irony and contempt in Princess Chen Qin's eyes completely disappeared. I lost. Until this moment, Princess Chen Qin said with trembling voices, human, your palm. Aren't you crazy for this kind of behavior? If it didn't break the tearing power of the space hurricane just now, I'm afraid it would be another end. Seeing Xiao Yang's crazy look, Princess Chen Qin couldn't help but warn. Well, it's all right. Xiao Yang clapped his hands and laughed. However, he turned his head and looked at his palm. On the palm, a burnt smell came out. The flesh and blood on the palm had already been melted away by the hot confrontation. 5 fingers, white bones, and no trace of flesh and blood existed. It looks like an undead finger that has been dead for countless years. However, the ending was good, at least he won. Xiao Yang smiled slightly at Princess Chen Qin's next words. Even if he lost in the end, with the protection of the lower body, it would not be difficult to defeat her, but he couldn't cause the current situation. This kind of shocking scene is nothing more than this, and the scene of the palm can't be difficult for him. After all, he is a real alchemist, and although the blood and bone medicine is precious, it is not without. We won. Looking at the sullen faces of the Luxai tribe and the others in the surrounding east, Elder Ma Wen spoke out in trembling voice, as if the scene in front of him was extremely illusory, extremely unreal, like a dream. This video will end here.